Yeah! Oh my goodness. Things are working over here. We got a microphone. The levels look good. Glenn Danzig is not the son of Cher. This is a fun fact that you have already learned this morning on Drew in the Morning. Well, good morning. It is Monday, June 12th, 2023. The temperature is a balmy 847 degrees outside in beautiful South Texas. Yes. Let me turn this thing down. Oh, no. You get the echo? Oh, you're good. All right. What's up, Internet? Okay, so we're trying something new this morning. I'm streaming to everything. Woo! Everything. Whoa! A little Ric Flair. We're streaming to Twitter. We're streaming to Twitch. We're streaming to Facebook Live. We're streaming to YouTube Live. The problem with YouTube is every time I play music at the beginning, they take my videos down. So I haven't had any videos post to YouTube Live. As far as YouTube goes, it's like I don't even exist, but that's okay. Because this is episode number 5, and we are 1 month in. Levels good? Yeah. All right. Let's see. See if if I'm showing live on the Facebooks right now. I was listening to a little bit of Misfits earlier. It's good stuff. Just got back from a week in Vegas. That was pretty exciting. Let's see. Let's make sure we're up over here. Let's see. I'm not showing live on Facebook, but I'm watching. Yeah, you're watching me. Oh, viewer number 1, go ahead. There we go. Look, I got 1. And I got the RGV Dads background behind me. The reason I have the RGV Dads background behind me is because I've got the king of the RGV Dads sitting in front of me. Let's get controversial, bro. My wife isn't here. You gonna kick me under the table or what? Because she does that.
No kicking under the table.
She does. She likes to try and kick me right under the table. But she's not here. She is embarking on a brand new mission today, and I will save that story for her. But she is going through a career change. It's exciting and fun. Lots of good stuff. Oh, look, we got Eli on the 1s and 2s. Look, you know what we have now? Check this out. Ready? We got the Eli cam. Everybody say good morning. Good morning, Eli. Good morning. How are you? It's great. We can go back to him. Oh, well, no, you already switched it back. Whatever. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. But first, before I drop into any of that, tell me. Hold on. Okay, good. What's up?
Hey. So I sent you a message this morning asking if I could drop by.
Yeah, man.
I was actually just hoping to watch a little bit.
No.
I like the creativity that I'm seeing in the past few episodes, but thanks for inviting me on.
Let's go. Let's put you in the hot seat.
And how appropriate, because what's happening this Sunday?
Father's Day. Love it. I'm a dad. You're a dad.
We're dads. Eli's a dad.
He doesn't even know it yet. Just kidding. He's got it. You only have one, right?
One that I know.
One that he knows of. Very good. Yeah, Father's Day's coming up. But so tell me, pretend we're taking this from the top.
That's right.
So this is Jesus.
Yes.
Mr. Pena.
Thank you.
So tell me, what is RGV Dads? How did it get started? Tell me what it is.
Sure. So the mission statement is creating opportunities for fathers in the Rio Grande Valley to network through blogs, vlogs, meetups, just sharing information about fatherhood. And so this got started about 5 years ago. I did some research. I found out that there was nothing for dads south of Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And when I became a father about almost 14 years ago now, I just didn't find many resources. I mean, you're very much involved in tech. At that time, we're talking 14 years ago, YouTube is in its infancy. You can grab a book off the shelf.
Book? Yeah. What does that do? How do you...
Exactly, right? How many dads are going to read a book?
How do you charge that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you recharge it? There's no batteries on it?
USB or something. So I just decided something has to change.
Okay.
I'm kind of impatient sometimes. And so I started with a logo, the one that's there on the screen.
Woo!
Yeah, and just started networking with dads rather quickly. I first spoke to some people that were in New York and Los Angeles that were involved in dad groups. And they took me under their wing. Those guys, I consider them the trailblazers.
Okay.
They've been on big shows like Good Morning America and stuff like that.
They haven't been on Drew in the Morning. All I got to
gonna get 'em
say
here.
is, I mean, really, of all the shows that you could possibly choose to be on, there's one.
Drew in the morning.
There you go. So take that, stupid groups in
Good
New
Morning
York.
America. GMA.
Take that, GMA. I got your Today Show right here. Let's go.
Oh, I love that Mortal Kombat. So I just decided from there with some of their guidance that things need to change, that the Valley and everywhere between here and Austin really needs some guidance, some support.
Yeah.
And so I'm just excited the way it's been growing and continuing to meet people in the community like yourself.
Yeah.
So that we can continue to advance the mission.
Nice, man. All right.
Let's do this.
Okay, so I got all kinds of good drops this morning, man. No, that's phenomenal. And I think, okay, so I assumed that at the beginning that this was a project meant for single dads who didn't have resources. Yeah, I see the smile.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? I went through an amazing divorce. It was like so nice, and there was like sunshine and flowers, and it was just beautiful. Yeah, right.
Wow.
We'll have that story another time. But I wouldn't change anything. It led me to where I am today, and it made me who I am today. My dad said, "Never trust a man who hasn't been divorced." That's kind of interesting. But he also said, "Don't take wooden nickels." But there's a lot of fun wisdom there. But when I went through that, there were times when I didn't want to fall into the Disney dad category. But the problem with that, and there's this one time I had to call in to court in California. And I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole of why. But I'm talking to a judge, and the judge, her lawyer was like, he's Disney dadding and this and that and this and that, and I piped in, and if you ask my lawyers, they kept telling me to shut up because they didn't want me to be in contempt of court because I would speak up, man, and apparently you're not supposed to do that to a judge, and I learned my lesson, and so in a future episode we'll bring a judge on here and we'll have all kinds of questions for him. You know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But what I learned from that was, I chimed in and I said, hey, man, I get the kids on their weekends, and I get the kids on their vacation, and I get the kids when they want to have fun. So they don't want to sit there and be educated the whole week. They went to school all week. They're looking for some downtime. That's the time that I would get my kids. What can I do to take them to have some downtime, but not be the dad who's just like, come to my house and I'll just, buy you a new Xbox and we'll do this and we'll do that. Because there's that weird thing of being that divorced dad where you have to find resources. That's how I came across you guys. That's what I thought you were. I was like, hell yeah. Here's a resource for divorced dads or single dads who don't know what to do, who are looking for something, but they just don't have the time because of whatever their schedules are. And I was like, man, this is incredible. This is great. So many people can use this. But then I got to know you, and you're like, no, bro, I'm just a dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still married. I'm happily married. I'm just looking for stuff to do with my kids. So have you found there's a lot of people that are coming to you? I don't know if you can see that on camera. I'm using a big nod, like big nod. Have you found that there's a lot of single dads that are coming to you? I know you told me a story about someone thinking it was a group. Talk to me a little bit about that, because it's needed, man. I mean, that's the thing.
Yes. And you know what? I appreciate this once more. This is just lining up perfectly for what's coming up this weekend. Before I answer the question, I just want to be clear that I am not the best dad. I am not the godfather of dads. People have, told me things like, oh, yeah, you're the godfather, right? Nope, not that guy. I'm trying to learn just like everybody else. We have been married 16 years. Thank you for
That's awesome, man.
For sharing that.
That's awesome.
But it takes work, as you know. It's a lot of work. Many days you struggle just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I remember when we were at church, for example, seeing a family that I thought belonged on a JCPenney catalog, if you go back that far, and just thinking like, this is a perfect family.
Yeah.
But then we got to know them through an activity our church was providing. And one of the first things he said to me was, me and her, No, we've been to counseling many, many times. And so you come
Yeah,
to
man.
think that, and this is before social media really took off. And so you're just going on what you're seeing in person.
But I mean, on social media, everything's perfect.
Yeah, it is very perfect.
We're all JCPenney catalogs.
So just want to
social
remind
media.
everybody that nothing is as it appears.
Yeah.
And so you need to be very careful with that, whether it's pre-social media or now that we're in way too deep. But yes, I am actually learning by meeting other fathers who are, some of them, they have full custody.
Yeah.
And to me, that's amazing.
Where's my clap track? I don't have a clap track.
I'm going to say that again so you can find the clap track. Or can we get one?
Yeah.
There we go. So it's amazing to me because
Full custody in Hidalgo County, right?
I'm getting to learn the disadvantage not only do fathers face when they go into the court system, but even when they go to simple local resources such as WIC.
Yeah.
And first of all, while I was in Austin, learning more about what our state agencies are doing for fathers and families in the community, I got to hear some great testimonials from directors and leaders in those agencies, and so they are doing their best. The system is very imperfect.
I mean, if there's one thing I learned about it, it's that you talk about the old adage of a few spoiled apples ruin the bunch. The problem is there's a lot of spoiled apples out there, and there's such a small amount of dads that actually want to be involved in their kids' lives and want to do the right thing by their kids, not by their ex, but just by being a dad. That you find so many people that just want to be a good dad, and it's like the system is stacked against them. And I hate to say that, but having been through the system, dude, I sat in a courtroom where the judge held my ex in contempt, 27 counts of being in contempt, and nothing, slap on the wrist. And then we went back like a couple months later, 15 more counts of contempt, slap on the wrist. If it would have been one for me, I would have been in jail. Mm-hmm. But and it's like when it's so interesting how the court system is, and I want to understand it. Like I really want to understand it because it seems so wrong. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's so many things about the way that the system is. I have friends who've got full custody of their kids. I have friends who've got these interesting shared custody things, and it's such an interesting. It's such an interesting thing to try and fight for custody to be a dad in Texas. But back to it. I mean, but when you do have your kids, and you want to make the most of the time with them, that's one of the things that started me even sitting here is I know these random places to go to in South Texas, totally random, that it's like, let's go there. Let's take a field trip for the day. And one of the reasons that I jumped on to start doing some of these, podcasts or whatever was so that I could publish those. Same reason this is what brought us together, right? I was like, hey, these are the things that I'm thinking about. And you're like, dude, this is stuff I'm doing. But it has been, I mean, you mentioned a while back that someone came in and thought it was a support group, because these are resources that I think are going to land wisely. And I think that having a local group here in South Texas is really, really good for it. And you guys just got an award from Junior League of McAllen, which is great. It's like moms and dads, it's a single moms and dads working together. Is that how that works? All the ex-wives helping out other people's ex-husbands. Is that what the grant was for? Or what are we...
Well, we go back actually to COVID with Junior League of McAllen, and they were passing out food at an elementary, and one of the dads, his wife is a member.
Kids in the Kitchen, or was that I wonder what program it was. Hey, go ahead.
I'm not sure exactly, but what we ended up doing was just being kind of like the muscle that day, and we were handing out the bags of food to the cars that were driving through, again, during COVID. Mm-hmm. And then we learned about this grant, and so behind the scenes, there's a lot of work going on, and thankfully there's a lot of people to network with. And so we talked about what could we do, because I researched a little bit about how much money they typically give out. Mm-hmm. And so one of the first things we looked at was bicycles. Could we get some bicycles, and some of our kids don't know how to ride a bike, we could teach them. It would be a great event. It has to take place in McAllen. But then we realized, well, the cost of the bike in comparison with the amount of money awarded, it just didn't make sense.
We can do 7 bikes.
Right, exactly. More like 5.
Just go to Amigo Pond, bro. Right down the street, First Valley Pond, or whatever they got. My old bike is there somewhere.
You see, that's not where my mind is. I needed to talk to you that day. My idea was Walmart, brand new bike, $100, get 5 bikes. Right?
There's some guys that grew up with a Mercedes. They can get you like 100 bikes for $10, man.
That would have been great, right? But so one of the hot...
There's a joke there that I'm not going to go down into.
One of the hot sports right now is disc golf. So
Yeah.
you
can buy chingos of Frisbees, dude.
We bought 99.
No, that's not true. Yeah, but I mean, you got...
These are quality discs.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, the thing is like disc golf. You've got the super geeks who have they've got their little bag with all the little slots and all the
Yes.
different... It's a thing,
It's
man.
amazing.
It's a thing, and they're all high. Did you guys smoke weed when you were out? No, I'm just kidding.
We did not.
I hope not. All right. So down that path, you used the grant. Tell me about that. And then this was this past Saturday, right?
It was just about a week ago.
Yeah.
And so we were able to identify a local store called the Valley Disc Golf Store.
Shout out to Valley Disc Golf Store. Yeah.
100.
I'm like my clap track.
And so he's a dad, and his son actually competes and does very well in tournaments. And he's also a veteran.
Okay.
And so I thought to myself, small business, this makes sense. So behind the scenes, we're talking about ideas, and we have a board. Every nonprofit has to have a board, but then we also have a lot of active members, thankfully. And so we were just talking about this seems to make sense. And then so we reached out to him. Sure enough, we got a good number of families to come out. I'd say about 40 people came out.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And it was at Bill Shute Park, right?
At Bill Shute Park. Yeah. So the guy, his name is Scott McFarland, and his wife, Mina, they bring out 3 baskets.
Scott McFarland.
Yeah.
Isn't that the dude who does... That's not Family Guy. That's Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. So Scott McFarlane, he set up the baskets very strategically and kind of like spaced everything out so kids could have an opportunity to putt, to go mid-range, to go long range.
How'd they do?
They did well.
That's awesome.
Even my dad made it out there.
Sweet.
And so
that's like Inception. That's like the dad of RGB Dad's dad. It's like the dad of dad's dads.
It was neat, and even other people commented that we just the effort and the way that it all played out.
Good.
It was very well planned because Scott and I, we met in person. We messaged each other on the text message and
on the computer.
And the
you
computer.
guys send faxes back and forth to each other.
I was just very impressed with the detail that he put into it. He brought on another young man that they sponsor, and he also helped kind of coach people up that day.
Nice.
Even a photographer came out that heard about what we were doing, that follows us, and he offered his services to take some great pictures and just document
Sweet.
all the moments. And that's what we want to do, is we want to create memories in these events that are going to last you a lifetime with you and your kids.
And all that was done. So that was done through the grant from JLM. That's
Yes.
awesome. So what's next for you guys? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I'm working on that I'm going to contribute to what you guys are doing. There's lots of fun activities. Anything for Father's Day? Anything special?
Well, that's actually one of the reasons I came here, and I don't
Tell
mean
me.
to put you on the spot.
Let's go.
But we're hoping that maybe this week we can go to Howling Rapids.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm going to call him out. Yeah. You know what? I don't know if he's listening right now, but yeah, we'll see if we can set something up. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be picking up my daughter at camp, so
Awesome.
I won't be here to enjoy that.
But maybe we could do it during the week, because here's another thing I know about local businesses is that during the week they may not receive as much business as they do on the weekend. And so if we could do something kind of pre-Father's Day, maybe during, this Monday through Thursday, that would be great. So
yeah, they're
let me know.
Great people. Dads, right? I think. I think they're all dads if I think about it.
Owned by a dad dads, right?
Owned by some dads.
It makes sense to me. So if we can make that happen, that would be great.
And beer.
Yes. There you go.
Sweet. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming by. I don't know. Okay, just make sure my mic's on. I appreciate you coming by and talking to me about all this stuff, man. This is it's really cool. There's a lot to do, and I think that's one of the things about the Valley that gets really misunderstood, is that there are really a lot of things that people can do in the Rio Grande Valley. And whether it's field trips or whether it's putting together activities like you're talking about, there's so many things that dads can do, and having one group that's highlighting those resources day in, day out is pretty good. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm real low. Ooh, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me. I just need to talk louder. Anyway, yeah, man.
Where can you follow RGV Dads?
Where can you follow RGV Dads? How can I get in touch with you if I want to be a part of this thing?
So you can find us at rgvdads.com.
Okay.
You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. If you just search RGV Dads, you will find us. If you message, I will answer. So
You do. You do answer very quickly.
I
I'll give you
try
that.
my best to answer
Yes.
as quickly as possible.
Yeah, man. Well, that's good. Well, it's a fun program. I like the hat. I rock my hat every once in a while. Make sure if you got a hat, you tag it and put it on the social media. You want to get into controversial subjects?
Sure. Every day.
Like, where do we even start? Where do we even start?
I already know where you're starting.
Oh, I don't know where I'm starting, man. You know, I had a really good check this one out. You ready? I had a good conversation about with two different groups of people in two different circumstances that they're going through in their lives right now. And I don't know how to say it in Spanish, but it sounds way better in Spanish. It's like dirty jokes, right? They sound way better in Spanish. But my aunt said something at breakfast the other day. We were talking about if your life is like a cup and you're given a cup and your cup breaks for whatever reason, a parent passes away, a relationship doesn't work out, whatever it is, your cup breaks in some way, shape, or form. How much are you willing to glue that cup back together, knowing that it's not going to hold the same amount of water as it did before, to a point where is it better to just get a new cup? And so we were talking about that, and you can apply that to everything, right? You can apply that to relationships, you can apply it to parenthood, whatever it is. How much work are people willing to do in their lives to, at what point is it just like, it's like the kid putting his fingers in the dance, right? Like, how much is it where it's like, where it's too much? And we're talking about that because it has so many parallels in life. And I mean, it's like, do you get to the point where you just say, like, forget it, like, I'm done with this? Because my life has been a series of cups. It hasn't been, and I think about, you could do quilts also if you want to talk about quilts, but it hasn't necessarily been where it's like, oh, this cup, let me glue it back together. Let me put a lot of work into it. I'm the type of person that's like, time for a new one. Next chapter. But I have a lot of friends who are willing to put a lot of work into doing it. But like, when is it too much? That was an interesting brunch conversation yesterday. You can comment if you want to, but I don't even know what to say. So that was a little different.
That's very deep.
Yeah, you didn't. I went all the way down to the bottom of my list, and right above that, here's an interesting one. You ready? Let's go. Okay. I saw a magazine. This is one of those ones my wife would kick me under the table for. We were having lunch a couple days ago at Don Pepe's. I came in, like, the first thing I did when I came in from Vegas, I was like, I want some Valley food, and I saw some friends of mine on the cover of a magazine. It's called Woman to Woman. And I thought, what would happen if I started a magazine called Man to Man that was all about male empowerment? How well do you think that would go over?
Not well at all.
Okay, so let's ask the question. Why not? Like, you don't have to answer incriminating things, but it's I'm all for empowerment. And again, this is just me trying to stoke a fire.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is I've seen it, but I work in a company right now that I made a comment about inclusivity for, and I work for this global corporation, and I came from another company where when I sat down at the table, literally every person at the chair at that table was different, and we prided ourselves in that, right? It was the fact that if you have an idea or a viewpoint, you want someone sitting across from you who doesn't think anything like you, who didn't grow up like you, who doesn't have parents like you, who you want the exact opposite as much as you can, because that makes a better product, right? That's what I'm in product design now. Mm-hmm. So it's, how do you make the best product? So I'm flipping through this magazine, Woman to Woman, and I'm all for empowerment. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great. But I also am all for inclusion and diversity. And if I'm flipping through a magazine that's just 100% this, one gender, one age, one race, whatever it is, it's like, where is the inclusion there? Where's the olive branch, or where's the bridge to say, you know what, we appreciate different perspectives in here? And it's been interesting because there's a lot of these really cool groups in the Valley. RGV Dads being one of them, right? Let's go. It's all dudes.
Wait a second.
Oh, wait a minute. But it's one of those where it's like, you want to create groups for people that are like-minded, but like, why can't I publish a magazine called Man to Man?
You should start it tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Let me know how that works out.
I'll be the first purchaser.
This is where I'm getting kicked under the table. Also, in more important news, watermelons will not be as sweet this year This is very important.
That's wrong.
Yes. A&M
What happened?
Texas A&M AgriLife Extension experts have some tips for finding the most flavorful watermelon because of the brix, BRIX, like the sugar content in watermelons. Because of the weather over the last year, watermelons will not be as sweet. And I thought that was all like a load, if you will. And I was at a party the other day and I ate a watermelon and it sucked. Yeah. So,
Awful.
Guess what I have for you, Eli? I have tips on how to find the right watermelon. On a ripe watermelon, you should look for the umbiligo. It's called the field spot. It's this yellow spot. The more yellow it is, it should be a large butter-like yellow patch on the side. It indicates the amount of time that the melon has spent ripening on the vine. So especially right now, because they didn't get a chance to ripen, you want a big yellow umbiligo, like his stomach. Okay, how about this? Another suggestion: when you knock on it, like this.
FBI, open up!
No, what should it sound like? Ready? A deeper sound means it's ripe. A dull or hollow sound means that it's spoiling. You don't want it to be hollow or dull. Also, should you look for a shiny melon or a dull colored melon?
I'm gonna go dull.
You're gonna go dull. That is correct. Oh, I don't have like a man. I'm off
We need to
today.
get that
I
clap.
don't dude. Yeah, man. Anyway, yes, you want something that is dull because it's been out in the field longer. So that is some very important information right there. I'm going from bottom to top. You ready? Mm-hmm. In Florida, a man spent 100 days underwater. He's like, well, not like he like lived in the thing underwater.
Okay,
He wasn't just
okay.
like floating. And this guy is he said that when he got out, he feels 10 years younger. He spent over 3 months, 30 feet underwater in an undersea lodge off the coast of Key Largo, and he feels better. And he has 10 times more stem cells than at the beginning of the study. And additional beneficial effects of deep sea immersion include experienced deep REM sleep for 60 to 66% of the night. He had a decrease of 72 points in cholesterol, and his inflammatory markers were cut in half. So we're all going to live
Underwater.
You know where we're going to live?
Under the sea.
We're going to go hang out with SpongeBob. That's how he maintains his youthful figure under the sea. Speaking of, have you seen the new Disney Little Mermaid?
No, but yesterday we saw Spider-Man.
So what do you think about Disney not having a pale-skinned what's her name? Come on.
Ariel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it speaks to what you were saying earlier. We need diversity, right?
I know, but there's lots of people. Well, not lots of people. Lots of white people that were like, "Hey, that doesn't look right. Why does she have to be?" It's like I love the pictures of Jesus. Those are my favorite. Everybody puts up these big, beautiful pictures of Jesus, and they're like, "Oh, look at his pale skin, bro." He grew up in the desert, man. If you look at the demographic of all the people around there, he was not a pale skinned guy. I'm just saying.
Right.
I mean,
Some melon in there, right?
speaking of, if you want to go into that part of the world, the U.S. suspended food aid for Ethiopia. Yeah, widespread theft. American officials say they uncovered a countrywide scheme by government officials to divert food aid in a country where 20 million people rely on donated relief.
Wow.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. Wisconsin Republicans block meningitis vaccine. Okay, have you been hearing about all the meningitis stuff? I'm laughing. It's really not funny.
Just superficial stuff I've heard.
Dude, so apparently people who were going out and getting who are going through different surgical procedures in Reynosa and all along the border, there's been a huge meningitis outbreak. CDC's put out some warnings, Department of State's put out a bunch of warnings. And we were talking about it to a friend of ours yesterday, and one of his friends passed away from it. She went over there to get some lipo or something done.
Yes.
Meningitis crept up, and that was that. And so there's don't go surgery, which sucks for the BBL wagon, right? Have you seen my Instagram about the BBL wagon?
I don't think I saw that.
I'm driving down the street with my wife. I go to drop her off at the airport in Harlingen, and there's this huge Mercedes Sprinter van. And there's nalgas on the back of it, like huge nalgas right on the back with a shot in the right cheek. And it says BBL wagon. I was like, what's a bubble wagon? And then I was like, what the hell is this thing? And so as we got closer to it, I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I dropped my wife off at the airport and I run over. I was like, hey, let me take a look inside your wagon here. And the lady's like, yeah, man. And so for I forgot what the rate was, for a couple $100 or whatever. They will pick you up at the airport in Harlingen or in Brownsville and take you to your Brazilian butt lift appointment in Matamoros. They work with a couple of clinics. They'll take you over there and they'll give you snacks. And I looked at the snacks and it was like hot Cheetos and cheese.
Takis.
You knew where I was going. All that stuff that your nalgas need to be healthy. No, it was like crackers and potato chips. Same shit, man.
And Sprite.
Sprite. Jingles is Sprite, bro. But they take you over there and they pick you up and they run you back to the airport.
The fact that there's an industry, a sub-industry that supports that.
Yeah, Eli's saying the fact that there's a sub-industry. Yeah, dude. But the thing is like, how are they dealing with meningitis? You know,
Right.
Maybe we need to get the Nalgonas on here to have the conversation with us and figure that out. Can you say Nalgonas? Is that even a word?
We need to get Christian Von Pricing from KRGV to look into this. That guy's good.
Would you like to know more? That's the one that I need.
BBL.
Secret Service agents didn't see an intruder get into Joe Biden's officials into his house because they were busy doing what? They were distracted on their cell phones. Yeah, that's home intruder made his way into official place of residence and turned around and left the whole time they were sitting there on their phone.
Wow.
But you know who else didn't get any attention?
Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene standing on the damn runway when Trump's plane landed. Did you see that? Oh my God. I do not like that person. I don't care if she's a male or a female or what. I have a problem with stupidity, folks. That's my issue. So she's standing there. There's a picture of her like running up, like waiting, like a little kid, like, oh, he's coming. He gets off the plane and he walks right beside her. And she just like looks down. And so all the memes are hilarious. She's like, oh, all crestfallen because Donald Trump didn't stop.
Isn't her niche, though, getting attention?
Yeah,
Isn't
dude.
that why she's valuable?
She's an attention person.
Somewhat ineffective on that one.
Yeah, man. Oh, that one. This chick, Green flips on public release of January 6 tapes. All right, so this is the same lady who's like, we need to release all the tapes about January 6 so the people know what went down. And then she saw him. She's like, we absolutely do not need to release those tapes. It will create a national security environment. And you're like, wait a minute. Aren't you the chick who just said to do that? During a recent town hall appearance, this is fun, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene answered questions written on scraps of paper by audience members that she picked out of a large fishbowl on stage. One question was whether she would, quote, lead the charge in reapplying the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933. Seems simple enough. But Greene's response defied even the lowest expectations. Quote, I was born in 1974, so I'm not familiar with that. But I'll have my staff look into it. Based on Greene's criteria for things she's not familiar with that predate her existence in 1974, here's a list. The Constitution, people like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War. How about the Civil Rights Movement or the Vietnam and Paris Peace Accords? How about Watergate? All things that she should be familiar with that happened before she was born in 1974. And as elected public official, I think it's quite reasonable to think that they would understand the history that happened before they were born.
Oh, yeah.
Nope, not her. No way. She's just busy waiting outside that airplane for her buddy to get off. Oh, God. She was all over the news this weekend. Like, I cringe every time I see her name. But then I also laugh, because it's like, how does this happen? How do you, I know how we do it.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see you guys do?
What's
Is I
that?
want to see you guys do some voter action stuff. Because how do people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz get in the office? They get voted in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just the lack of an opponent that has, the credentials to really fit the office.
Dude, hold on. But then let's rewind 2 weeks to Ken Paxton. This guy's straight up the was it Attorney General of the state of Texas gets on a TV talk show and talks about how if we wouldn't have blocked the votes in Houston, Beto would have won and Biden would have carried Houston. Like straight out says, if we wouldn't have blocked these 2.5 million votes, this is what would have happened in Houston. Everyone's like, wait, what? What'd you just say? Yeah, man. It's
I missed that one.
oh, dude. I mean, it's oh, look, I've got audio here, right? Let's see. I can even play that audio. Let's see. Like, listen to this. Just listen.
Yeah, I think it's certainly critical to my state, and that's why we fought off these 12 lawsuits. We had them in Houston, we had them in San Antonio, we had them in Austin.
Listen
we
to
had
this.
them in the counties where you'd have the most liberal judges. And it was a concerted effort nationally with lots of money going into it. And just knowing that we had 12 lawsuits that we had to win. And if we had lost one of them, like if we lost Harris County, Trump won by 620,000 votes in Texas.
Ready?
Harris County mail-in ballots that they wanted to send out were 2.5 million. Those were all illegal, and we were able to stop every one of them. Had we not done that, we would have been in the very same situation. We would have been on election night. I was watching election night, and I knew when I saw what was happening in these other states that would have been Texas. We would have been in the same boat. We would have been one of those battleground states that they were counting votes in Harris County for 3 days, and Donald Trump would have lost the election.
It's like, dude, what? Oh, we had to block those 2.5 million because we thought they were illegal. Man,
Democratic, or what do you call it? Democratic leaning.
I love it, dude. It's, what a state we live in. In other wonderful state news, have you heard what? Okay, so one of the things that I hold near and dear to my heart is what happens in the Rio Grande Valley. Our ecological tourism, like everything that's about like what makes the valley great. Have you heard the latest that Governor Abbott said we're going to do? What's the latest measure to keep all those people out?
We have buoys in the Rio Grande River.
We got some buoys we're going to put up in the Rio Grande River. Keep them dirty, filthy, what do they call them? Invaders.
Not
Dude,
sure.
listen, I mean, like, who thinks of this shit? 6-foot tall buoys. They're bright orange, and they're going to float them a mile down, right in the middle of the river, which is questionable, right? One of the fastest moving rivers in the United States. That's cool. Whatever. They're going to float them down there. They're 6 feet tall. They're chained together, and then they've got a mesh screen that drops all the way down to the bottom of the river. So when you're a 4-year-old and you're trying to swim across the river to chase your mom because you got lost from her and you get tangled in that mesh, then what?
That's a great question. Who's responsible?
Who's responsible? And he says, well, it's a deterrent. Death is a deterrent, yeah. But do they know that there's a are they going to put up, I mean, right, they're going to put up some warning signs.
In English and in Spanish. But some people can't read either one.
So,
that's an issue with the Hidalgo County Appraisal District. Side note is that information, and I'm very passionate about this, I've been on the news about this actually, is when these property tax statements are sent out, they are only sent out in English. And I have approached a couple people about this that I thought maybe could change it, but it continues to only be sent out in English. However, there is a link. I'm sorry, I'm getting upset. There is a link there's a link that is sent out to people where you can access it in Spanish. But wait, is there a digital divide in the Rio Grande Valley?
Stand by. So you have to have a computer or a digital device and internet access in order to be able to see this link. Wow.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Sorry, everybody. A little upset about that one.
Yeah.
And it continues to be an issue.
They could just publish it in the Monitor. Oh, except it doesn't publish on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays anymore.
I saw that you shared that.
I was very bothered by that. As the only one of my friends that do you subscribe to the paper?
I don't, but I like
do you
to
subscribe
read
to the
it
paper?
online.
No. You can say no. No, none of my friends subscribe to the newspaper. I do. It's fun. I got a little routine, a little cup of coffee, read what's going on. But now they're taking that away, and it's like, okay, well, anyway. Yeah, digital divide. It makes no sense. But English versus Spanish, you would think in Hidalgo County of all places.
Do they take their documents home from the county of the appraisal district?
I don't know. Do they store?
Because I know you're going to go there.
I am.
Some point. That's number one, right?
That's the top subject, man. Before that, let's talk about State Bill 1718. It's set to introduce strict new anti-immigration rules going into effect July 1st in Florida. Among its provisions are requirements that businesses with 25 employees or more utilize E-Verify. So this is an interesting subject, right? Because the E-Verify system, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it. I'm not saying I am a fan of it. But there's some accountability there that E-Verify uses to make sure that your status of being able to work or be employed in the United States is there. However, there's lots of industries that rely on people that their immigration status is questionable. And sometimes people, rightly so, especially in Florida, don't want to turn over their information. They don't want people to know, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this is causing quite the amount of chaos in Florida. They're having some issues, man. And has no one seen A Day Without, A Day Without a Mexican or A Million to Juan or any of these movies where it's like, what the hell are they thinking? I can't picture a single Florida redneck being okay doing half of the jobs that people are going to ditch. Dude, and then speaking of Florida, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't live in Florida. I say that, but we're right behind them, except we don't have pro DeSantis ralliers in front of Disney World holding up Nazi flags like they were doing yesterday. They've got DeSantis signs in one hand and Nazi flags in another. The pictures are incredible. Right in front of the Disney World sign, Nazi flags flying everywhere.
The happiest place on earth.
Yeah, and Florida's like, hell yeah. And it's like, what an interesting disconnect.
I need to see these pictures later.
Dude, they're all over the internet, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But that's okay because DeSantis, his approval rating has tanked. According to online polling company Civics, the dynamic approval rating graph, DeSantis currently has a net approval rating of negative 19 points with an average of 55% of respondents disapproving. So his approval rating has just dropped significantly over the last month, compared with 36% who have a favorable view of the Republicans, of 55 to 36. Okay, so let's pretend that this is a different world. Who runs on the Republican ticket for president that is someone that people can actually get along with? Chris Christie? He's running. Mike Pence? Did you see the meme of him on the motorcycle? It says, "I joined the Heck Angels."
I did not see that.
The Heck Angels. Come on. This guy. Talk about... Jesus Christ. What the... Anyway, who runs? Who's a Republican? You know what? Look, comment lines are now open. I haven't even looked to see if anyone's even watching. I don't know if people are watching or not. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Bye.
Yeah, man.
I was actually just...
There.
Ticket and lose.
Holy shit! A few people. Whoa. Okay, here we go.
What
Let's
do they
see.
say?
Why does it have to be called a Disney dad when it wasn't always about them having fun? I'm a huge kid myself. I want to have fun. Did things like Disney because I loved it, and kids there were a bonus. The times where men were the bad ones in court system is no longer. Yeah, but you live in Austin, dude. Just putting that out there. Anyway, sweet melons. Yeah, sweet melons. Let's see what else. No, that's it. We don't have a lot of other comments. That's on Facebook. Anyway, dude, Florida, man. So who's who are we looking at for presidential candidates right now?
Trump. Trump is the clear candidate.
Clear. Let's talk about his bathroom. Man, so great. You know, I saw there was a TikTok where this guy just broke down everything in that guy's bathroom. And it's like, who's got a toilet that low to the ground? Like squatty potty much, you know? And then it was like, look at the juxtaposition of the chandelier and the shower curtain. It looked like it flew off the back of a truck, you know? And then there's like some other thing behind his head. But dude, I love the argument that this is a witch hunt. That's my favorite one. I read something online. It's like, it's a witch hunt. Dude, the guy broke the law. Like, and I'm all for people who are breaking the rules to have the rules enforced upon them. And it's like, oh, it's a witch hunt. Well, yeah, look what he did. Like, yeah, but Hillary, dude, tell me you saw Hillary Clinton's Instagram. It was so good.
She's promoting the hat.
Yeah,
right?
she has the hat that says
Right.
"but her emails." It's
Right.
like, dude, yeah, if she would have been guilty, go ahead, go get her. If Joe Biden's guilty, go ahead, go get him. But don't sit there and say, well, this guy didn't do anything. Man, there's the tape, the recording of him saying, this is top secret. I'm not supposed to show you this, but here, look. And it's on audio, and how can people stand behind this guy?
You know what? It's incriminating, but will he be held accountable?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Rich white guy.
I don't think so because of attorneys and
they'll tie it up in some way, shape, or form. I don't get it. By the way, I asked a friend of mine, a super MAGA dude, to come on the show this morning. He has not responded yet. No. I'm waiting for someone. I'm waiting for someone who is willing to have a conversation because I really want to understand the perspective. I don't want to fight with them. I really want to understand the perspective of this dude broke the law multiple times. Right. He did all this incredible stuff. He left a gaping hole in our nation's security, where known Chinese officials were in Mar-a-Lago, and they could have just walked into the bathroom and pulled any of this information out. Like, how do you justify that that's okay? That's like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad.
Even if the Secret Service was out.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, now it's not that bad.
Even if the Secret Service was there, anybody could have walked in.
They were too busy on their cell phones.
But just to be clear, before you move forward, have you voted Republican and Democrat in the past?
You know what? I have.
And so have I,
And-
because I
and-
think that should be made clear.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I think that we're stronger as a nation when we actually put some thought into what we're doing. But the Valley's got some of the worst voters turnout in the state of Texas.
We do.
Look
we need
who's
to get out
representing
there.
us right now. I mean, there's some good ones. But, dude, look at what happened with De Leon coming down here and using the gerrymandered system gets, north of Hidalgo County, all red. Hidalgo County, all blue. And then comes down here and she's like, hey, I'm your congresswoman or whatever. And you're like, no, you're not. She sucks. I mean, uh-oh. That's the...
That would have got you kicked
That's
under the table.
Kicked under the table moment right there. Not a fan. Not a fan. That's maybe she doesn't suck. I don't know her. Maybe she wants to come sit down across from
The
me and you
opportunity
here.
is open, right?
Whatever, man. I'm down to have a conversation and understand why she, what her perspectives are. But from what I have heard, I disagree with her. Fundamentally disagree with her. And there's some issues. Oh, speaking of a dear friend of mine, I've got a church friend. And she's my church friend because we text each other in the middle of church, like, "Oh my God, he just said this, so he just said that," and it's fun because we talk about what's happening in church, and then we apply real world scenarios to it. And I'm so pissed because Louis C.K. has his latest show from Madison Square Garden. He talks about something that I've been talking about for years, and I was like, damn it, now I can't talk about it because people think that I stole it from him. But I've had the exact same conversation with members of my family and my wife and everywhere else, where it's like, do you think Jesus ever got hangry? And everyone's like, no, he was like a saint. I'm like, bullshit. When he was walking by that fig tree, like, oh look, Jesus, there's a fig tree, and he's like, doesn't have any fruit. I hope the tree withers and dies and sucks and never has fruit on it again. Fuck that tree. Maybe he didn't say that. In my mind, he said that. And then like a couple days later, they walked by and one of the 12 was homeboys is like, dude, check out the tree, it's all dead. And he's like, that's right, motherfucker. It's like, trust God. You're like, dude, what did you do to the tree? Yeah. What a dick, man. But I have these conversations about like real church stuff. And one of my other favorites is a dad. This plays into dads. Mary and Joseph are walking. It's Egypt, I believe, and I could be screwing the whole scripture up. But the point is, Mary and Joseph are walking with this big old group of people to Egypt, and they get to the temple, and they're hanging out, and they're praying, and they're doing all this great stuff, whatever. And then they're like, "Hey, peace out, time to go." So they all, as a group, this little caravan, which we know United States of America hates caravans, so this little caravan of migrants decides to make their way back to wherever it was that they were coming from, and 3 days later, they're like, oh shit, where's our kid? And they look around, they're like, oh dude, Jesus isn't anywhere to be found. They're like, where do we leave him? As a parent, first of all, 3 days without seeing your kid? I mean, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, maybe it was a really big group.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine 3 days you didn't know where your kid was. So you can't text them back then, right? So you don't know where your kid is, and they're like, let's retrace our steps. So they retrace their steps. They go back to the temple. And there's little Jesus, dude, chilling. And they walk up to him. Mary's like, dude, where were you? And he's like, psh, you should have known where I was going to be. I'm in the house of my dad. He's like, oh, I love you. I would have slapped the shit out of that kid, is all I'm saying. I would have been like, how, like, you couldn't follow us out the door? You didn't see everybody leaving? Dude, I have a hard enough time, like, with my kids trying to get them to go to school or summer camp or whatever. It's like, get in the car. You're telling me that Mary and Joseph were like, come on, man, we're leaving 5 minutes. We're leaving in 5 minutes, Like, what happened? Anyway, so my church friend. Go. What's a good piece of scripture? Go. Something to apply. You know what my other favorite one is? Here we go. There's these dudes, right? And they're hanging out. And one of their friends, let's put a little twist on. One of their friends has like a bum leg. His leg isn't working the way it should. Mm-hmm. And so they hear that this amazing leg doctor is coming to town. They're like, hey, there's this orthopedic surgeon that's coming down. He's like the master of legs. But it's going to be packed because everybody wants to go see this dude because he's kind of a celebrity. And so imagine you're sitting with your friends and you're drinking a beer, and we know that Eli's leg is broken, right? And we're like, hey, you know what we should do, man? We should find out where he's going to be, and then we should go up and cut a hole in the roof. And then we'll take a carpet, and we'll put him on the carpet, and we'll just drop his ass right in front of the leg doctor and just totally cut the line. Like, are you cool with that?
No.
Come on, man. We're going to get on the roof. Like, do you have a reciprocal saw? Like, we need a battery-powered saw. We're going to get on the roof. We're going to cut a hole in the roof. And then we're just going to drop Eli's ass. Just boom, right in front of him on a carpet. It's cool, right? Let's do this.
All right.
Let's go. Are you down, Eli? We're going to drop you right in front of the leg doctor.
Hell no.
Lose the other leg.
I'm just saying. And I'm not doubting the scripture. I'm just reading that going, man, I don't know two friends that would be okay. If I came up with this, I was like, hey, man, let's go do this. This is going to be hilarious.
Uh-huh.
So there's these stories in the Bible that I love to, when they come out, I just laugh. Like, I look at my wife. I'm like, are you hearing this? And she's like, quit talking. She just pinches me.
Behave.
Yeah.
Kick under the table.
Yes, kick beside the table. Anyway, so my church friend, she knows who she is. I love her, and I'm not going to call her out. I mean, I can. She would be a very fun person to have these debates with, because I appreciate her opinion very much. So she sends me this message this morning, or last night, like at 1:00 in the morning or whatever, and it talks about abortion.
Light subject.
Let's go. Let's get deep. It talks about abortion, right? And it's this dude who I've never heard of, who I looked up because he's proclaiming to be like to know everything. His name is Seth Gruber official, and he's talking about how he like scrapes his arm and he says, okay, so my cells are falling off my body. That's a clump of cells, like they're dead cells, no big deal. But then he talks about the sperm and the egg, and once it hits the egg and then mitosis happens and whatever, then all of a sudden then it's a life, like that's a human being. And the only thing that it needs in order to grow is time. And so at any point after the point of conception, then you're a murderer if you get sorry, can't say it with a straight face. Then you're a murderer if you destroy that embryo, right? And embryo is not even a thing yet. Scientifically, it's it's some cells. And so she sends me this, and I love her to death. And I was like, I have a problem with that argument, because if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of when does life start, well, technically, and I was reading up on this, is that if you've got sperm that's already alive, and then it's hitting an egg that's already ready to go, then nothing really started that hadn't been started already. It's not like there's a designation of when life starts, because the sperm's alive. And I said, so by this conversation, if you're a murderer because you have an abortion after the egg has been fertilized by the sperm, does that make masturbation murder?
I knew he was going to say that.
Does it?
Where I was going.
Just saying. Yeah. Now, and alternatively, ready?
Is it mass murder?
Mass
A serial situation.
So, and by that relative way of thinking, if a woman doesn't utilize the egg that's flushed out during her menstruation period, is she a murderer also? Because there was an opportunity for life and you just didn't take advantage of it at your ripe age of whatever it is. That's so I have a problem with these arguments where it's like, you're a murderer. Well,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
This is a whole semantics thing, and you can just go on and on.
I know,
and
but then
on.
people go like, science.
Yeah.
Okay, well, science. We'll go back pretty far if you want to science. I don't know. Regardless, I think it's your choice to be a murderer or to not be a murderer. How about that?
Yeah.
So you want to?
I choose not.
I choose not. In every step of the word. But I think at the end of the day, my thing is those arguments are great for people to have about conversations. But honestly, at the end of the day, I believe that people have a right to choose their own will, which is one of my favorite stories that I don't even know if I talked about a couple of weeks ago in Wyoming. Did I talk about that one, about Wyoming? So in Wyoming, they tried to ban abortion. I did talk about this. Yeah. They tried to ban abortion, but then they went back and they realized that when they had the scorched earth approach to Obamacare, they said that every citizen in Wyoming had a right to make their own medical decisions. So when they went to go ban abortion, they're like, yeah, but our state constitution says every human has the right to make their own decisions. They blocked by their own policies, shot themselves right in the foot.
There aren't many people living in Wyoming, right?
I don't know, man.
I think there's more animals, cattle than people or something.
In other news,
That's like a
Donald
joke.
Trump was indicted. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about that.
Illegal retention of classified documents. There's this thing called the Espionage Act, apparently. And did you know that when he was in office, he was a staunch supporter of the Espionage Act. He turned around and he said, you know what? It's not a misdemeanor. The Espionage Act needs to be a felony with a minimum of 5 years in prison. because Hillary Clinton has got this stuff and they're going to go get her. And now the exact same law that he was weaponizing against her is one of the things that hopefully will be
Used against him.
well, I don't want to say used against him because I don't wish ill on anybody. However, you do stupid shit, fuck around and find out. Like, I'm just saying. Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida says the weaponization of the federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to free society. Okay, well, what about stealing 37 documents from the president's office, including plans to invade another country? Does that hurt our free society? I don't know. But you know what's even scarier than that? The scariest thing about all that is what is being posted online. The other side, the supporters, these are two quotes. It's not going to stop until bodies start stacking up. We need to start killing. This is what's being posted online. There's a lot of Trump supporters that are turning this into something pretty bad. It's that corrupt Biden administration. If the corrupt administration is the one that's prosecuting people that do heinous crimes like this, then I'm all for it. Oh, and then Mark Meadows. It came out that former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, removed more than 1,000 pages of classified documents from the White House. Do you know when? Mark Meadows saw these people, or Mark Meadows took 1,000 documents out the last night that Trump was in office. Like, last-ditch effort. Wow. Let's grab everything we can.
Anything worthwhile?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out. According to government records and interviews with several individuals who had firsthand knowledge, they watched him, and all these people were like, "Yeah, well, I saw it." It's bad news. I don't understand. I say that because I don't understand how someone can support this. How they're saying here, going, "That's my guy." Like, I don't get it, and I would love for someone to come sit across from me and say, "Look, this is why." Like, justify this to me. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, if it wasn't Woman to Woman magazine, if it was Man to Man magazine, if it wasn't RGV Dads, if it was RGV Moms, if I want to understand the other side of this argument, because I just don't get it. And all the rhetoric and all the other stuff aside, like, we could sit here and run circles around it and talk about you have butter emails, but this dude, they didn't find anything, man. They didn't find anything on the laptop. They didn't find anything on Hunter Biden. Like, nothing was found. And that doesn't mean that they didn't do it. Maybe they did do it and they were just really good at hiding it. Maybe they didn't hide in their bathroom like a fucking moron. What? Dude. Oh. Anyway, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of people they're listening to this because I've pruned my friends list over time. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I went on one of those like anti-political tirades a while back. I was like, if you support this person, then unfriend me right now. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people did. Wow. Yeah, they did, man. But
that's unfortunate because there's some good people in that mix, I'm sure.
There's good people everywhere, man. I just don't understand. I really wish I could get someone in who would help me understand the perspective. Still listening. I honestly don't think you'll find a Trump supporter who won't get defensive the moment you ask them why they support them. That's the problem. It's like I've got some friends that have different perspectives on things, and I can sit down and have a real conversation with them. And we can both disagree. And that's okay. That's what this country was founded on, is the ability to disagree. But the problem is that you start saying stuff like this, and I can't say, hey, tell me why you support someone who did this. They get really defensive. And a lot of times the defense comes from people who don't understand everything, who it's either a combination of arrogance or education or some weird thing between the two.
Yes.
Anyway.
Or just cognitive dissonance that they don't.
Cognitive dissonance is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. It's as someone who travels frequently, I interface with so many people who, when I tell them where I'm from, the first thing that they ask me is about the invasion. And they ask me if there's Mexicans everywhere. And I say, yeah, they invaded my family. I've got a Mexican wife. I've got little Mexican kids. Oh my God, they live here. Dude, 98% Hispanic. But it's so interesting to me to travel around and to talk to people in the rest of the U.S. and then come down here and then hear people that are such staunch supporters of something of a culture that doesn't care about them.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
When I was in Austin, I met a couple that was from China, but they've been living in the United States for many years. And I kept telling them where I was from because they were asking me, and they were like, El Paso? No. Laredo? No. And we kept going south, and then I told them, it's near the southern tip of Texas. But I made sure to tell them, what you're hearing on the news is not what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, this one.
But they said, yeah, we get that.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
Words marked, homie. Words marked. That being said, it's the top of the hour. It's 10 o'clock. That went by fast. I didn't get kicked under the table.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so, fun conversation, man. I really am the invite is out for someone who wants to sit on the other side of the table and have a normal, civilized conversation. A little bit of passion here and there is going to hurt, but at the same time, I would really like to understand why. Why in the state of Texas, why do you feel like being a Republican today is the right choice? That's the question that I'm going to leave out there. And hope that someone answers.
I hope someone does.
I'll
be watching.
Does too, yeah. Anyway, well, rgvdads.com.
Yes, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
I love it.
Please join us, network with us. We want to have you.
And my political views are not necessarily your political views or that of your organization. Just as a disclaimer.
And if you scroll back, we have both voted Republican and Democrat in the past. Yeah. And I do a lot of personal time researching candidates and asking people that I value their opinion.
Education is power. Education is power. Anyway, all right, man. Well, that's it. That's month 1, episode number 5, and we will see you all next Monday from 9 to 10 a.m. here on everyone's favorite morning show,
Drew in the morning.